Peace and greetings, Inspired Tribe. Welcome back to Inspired by Jerica Brochet. I'm Jerica Brochet, and thank you for visiting the Inspired channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today's video will be a continuation of last week's video where we did an introduction to the chakras. So if you are unfamiliar with the terminology or you've never heard of chakras, you don't know what they are, I definitely recommend that you watch my introduction video first, and I will link that in the description below for you, because today our video is going to be centered on the first chakra, which is the root chakra, also known as the red chakra, or by the Sanskrit term Muladhara. So let's get started. First, we're going to recap though. Y'all know, if you've watched my videos, you already know the deal. I always type up a script, and I like to make sure that I have all my points ready. I can be a bit of a Virgo, a stickler when it comes to making sure that I have everything in order and that I hit on every point. I don't want to miss anything because I took a lot of time to type this up and to do all the research to make sure that I've covered every inch of each chakra. So you will see me referencing my laptop quite often just to make sure that I'm staying on track. So I hope that doesn't offend you. So let's recap from the introduction to chakras video. There were 4 things that we learned in particular, and I am a stickler, as I stated in the last video. I'm really a stickler that in order for you to really understand chakras and how they work, you really need to understand energy, subtle energy, and color, and the science of those and how that works. So we're going to recap. Number 1, we learned that energy is matter times the speed of light squared. This is also known as Einstein's most famous equation, E equals mc squared. Okay, so energy is matter times the speed of light squared. And we also learned that energy and matter are the same substance, only differing in degree, meaning that when it comes to polarity, which we also touched on, the universal law of polarity, we understand that matter and energy are the same substance. They are just 2 extremes of that same substance. So they differ in degree. So really we ask ourselves, at what point does matter become energy? Or energy become matter? So we also learned that matter is anything that can be seen, touched, felt, or smelled. And that it is anything that has mass and occupies space, such as a solid, a liquid, or a gas. We also learned that subtle energy is the life force, also known as chi or prana, and that essentially it is invisible matter. And this is the thing about subtle energy. I do want to say this. It's not that subtle energy cannot be proven, because it can. However, we don't currently have instruments that can measure subtle energy. So it tends to kind of fall in the woo-woo or the ethereal realm in some sort of way because of that. But science has shown that it definitely exists, because you definitely see the consequences or the effects of subtle energy. We just don't have a way to measure it quite yet. And the last thing that we learned, and again, this is just a recap, we learned a lot more, but of my points today, we learned that the chakras are energetic centers in the body which connects spirit to matter. It's the bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world, heaven and earth, mind and body, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's just a quick recap of last week's video. Again, if you need more detail or if you're still a little bit confused, science can be a little complicated. There's so many layers to it, so I definitely recommend that you just rewatch the video if you have any questions. But for now, we're going to move on. So in the last video, I also shared with you the electromagnetic spectrum. And it's important because most of them also show visible light. And that's something that we're going to touch on today while we're discussing the chakras. Okay. So As recommended in my introduction video, I am using the Everything You Need to Ace Science in One Big Fat Notebook. And I recommend this to anybody who is new to science or really at the baby stages of trying to understand it. This touches on almost every spectrum of it. It makes it really relatable and understandable. So I wanted to touch on the electromagnetic spectrum again, because as we learned in the introduction video, we can see on this spectrum that the lower end of the spectrum vibrates slower and therefore has a more physical expression or is more matter-like. And then the higher end of the spectrum vibrates a lot faster, and so it's more ethereal-like. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum that you see up here, okay? So you have the lower end over here, which is where you have radio waves, microwaves, and then on the higher end, you have your ultraviolet rays, and then you also have X-rays. And then in the middle is where we as humans can see and have visible light to the naked eye, okay? And that is relevant to the chakras today because it helps to understand why the chakras resonate with the colors that they resonate with. All right, so our first chakra, which is the root chakra, resonates at the lower end of the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? And when you line it up parallel to the electromagnetic spectrum, specifically the portion of the visible light, you will see that it resonates with the color red. And this also causes the root chakra to take on characteristics of the color red as well as its frequency. So we're going to pause right there for a moment and to discuss the science of color and light to really understand how this works. So color is actually a property of light, white light to be exact, which again, visible to the naked eye, contains a mixture of wavelengths, and those different mixtures of wavelengths is what we see as color. So you have red, then orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and then purple or violet. And basically, these colors appear in the order of their wavelength. So the slowest wavelength would be red, going all the way up to the highest wavelength, which would be violet. And basically, when the white light is shines through like a prism, it comes out on the other side and you see color. And I think they have a picture of that in here too. And I definitely want to show you if I can. Oh, good. I've already got it bookmarked. And I'll try to put a picture over here on the side too. But you can see there, you've got white light on one side, and then when it's shown or shines through the prism, it comes out on the other end, breaking the wavelengths down into the 7 colors that you see there. That process is known as dispersion. All right, so with red having the lowest energy, frequency, and vibration and the longest wavelength, that of course makes violet the opposite with the highest energy, frequency, vibration, and wavelength of visible light. So when you observe the chakras, again, parallel to the electromagnetic spectrum, the root chakra coincides with the lowest frequency color, which is red. And this places the root chakra closest to that of matter, which makes it the most dense chakra, and which makes red the most dense color. Red is the color of our life force, and our life force here on earth as humans is our blood, okay? Without our blood, we die, okay? So then the root chakra represents life and our inherent right to be here, our right to be in existence. This chakra anchors our spirit to our body, and its job and function is to sustain our life here on earth. And that's where the characteristics that we normally see with the root chakra becomes that of survival and foundation and the flight or fight stress responses. Understanding this, we can easily add other characteristics to this chakra, such as stability, security, support, and structure from a physical, emotional, and a spiritual perspective. So physically, the root chakra is associated with the adrenals, blood, as I mentioned before, and the skeletal system. In the book Eastern Body, Western Mind, in that book I did mention in my introduction video, so if you want to see what that looks like and my thoughts on it, another reason to check out the intro video, okay? But anywho, so in her book, the author explains that there are 7 rights which correlates to the 7 chakras. The root chakra, or the right for the root chakra, is the right to be here and the right to have, meaning it is our inherent right to exist and to survive here on earth. That's what the root chakra is all about. Additionally, our sense of societal belonging belongs to this chakra as well, mainly because our first encounters in relationships outside of ourselves begin with our family and with our culture. And energy expert Caroline Myss, which her book I also mentioned in the introduction video, which is The Anatomy of the Spirit, she mentions that the root chakra is our connection to traditional family beliefs that support the formation of identity and a sense of belonging to a group of people in a geographical location. So what she is essentially saying is that it's the root chakra that connects us to culture. It's the root chakra that connects us to our family and our tribe. And that is why whenever the root chakra is out of balance, those tend to be the areas in which you see issues in. And it definitely will be able to teach you how it bridges to the sacral chakra, which we'll be discussing next week, which is going to be more about individuality and stepping outside of that. But when it comes to the root chakra, it's all about doing what pleases your tribe and what stand within your culture and getting approval from your tribe and your culture, because that's what you know. When you are born, that is all that you care about, is survival. And once you've got the survival thing under control, then the next thing is feeling a sense of belonging, wanting to be in a clique or a crew, if you will. And that's something that stays with us over time. But when learning to balance all the chakras, we will see that you won't be able to please your tribe all the time. And so there is definitely a shadow side to each chakra as well. And for the root chakra, I would say that the shadow side is where you are constantly trying to please your tribe. And you cannot be authentic, or you cannot be unique or yourself, because you're willing to sacrifice all that you know to be you for the sake of fitting in to your tribe or to your culture. All right. So when a root chakra is healthy and functioning at its best, we feel that we are safe, taken care of, connected, grounded, and that sense of belonging. We briefly touched on the fact that chakras operate as an energetic filtration system, like the kidney sort of, which we mentioned in the introduction video, and that on occasion a chakra can become clogged or blocked when improperly maintained. So clogs or blockages in the chakras occur when we harbor and retain negative experiences and emotions within the body instead of allowing them to just filter through as experiences. So anything that impacts the nature of the chakra is what will create a blockage. So if the nature of the chakra is this and you're doing that, boom, that is how you can create a clog or a blockage. All right, these experiences can stem from a wide range of instances, from childhood trauma to social, cultural, and religious conditioning. And when these blockages develop, which is usually over time, the life force energy, that subtle energy, that chi or that prana, is unable to flow from one chakra to another. Chakras are interconnected, and so where one is depleted or affected in a negative way, it begins to eventually spill over into the other energetic centers known as the other chakras, okay? All right. So, let's see. Okay. So when we apply the law of polarity here, we can intuit the potential indicators of a blocked chakra. So remember, the law of polarity states that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites, like and unlike are the same, opposites are identical in nature but differ in degree. Therefore, when you're trying to determine a potential blockage for a chakra, you can look at its nature and then think about the complete opposite of that. And if that is what you're experiencing, then you probably have a blocked or a clogged chakra. So I do have some physical, emotional, and spiritual indicators of when the root chakra is blocked. The first one is fear, okay? Fear is born when our sense of survival or safety appears to be compromised. So again, if the root chakra is all about being stable and feeling secure and feeling safe, then if you are experiencing the opposite, which is fear, then that is an indicator that your root chakra may be blocked. Questioning your existence, feeling you have no reason to be alive, or feeling that you do not have the right to exist. Now remember, as we stated from the Eastern Body, Western Mind book, we know that one of the truths or the sacred truths of the root chakra is that you do belong here and you do have the right to exist. So whenever you feel as though your life means nothing and you're questioning why you were even born, that could definitely be a deficiency with the root chakra and potentially a hoarding. Holding on to things because you are uncertain that if you let them go, you may not be able to acquire them again and you may need them. This talks more to the security part of it. Not feeling as though you have enough. Not sure if you have stability from a financial standpoint, or if you have stability, as far as having a roof over your head or a job to work, or even emotional stability. Financial issues, not being provided for, feeling that there is never enough to go around, or a poverty mindset. Ouch. Okay, so this is really interesting because a lot of people may not associate financial issues with the root chakra, but I guarantee you between the root chakra and the sacral chakra, is definitely going to be affecting, because again, this is about feeling safe and secure. And because of the world that we live in, a great part of feeling safe and secure is having money, having enough money to take care of your needs, pay your bills, and to be able to do the things that you want to do in life that are more recreational. Egotistical or carnal behavior, only being concerned with that which is physical with no regard to spiritual health. Okay, so this is where you are imbalanced on both sides of the spectrum, where you're so worried about the material things that you have no regard for your spiritual life or the spiritual world, the crown chakra, if you will. And one thing that I would like to kind of paint the picture in your mind, or for you to consider, is that, which we also talked about in the introduction video, is that as above, so below. That is the law of correspondence, okay? So this also applies to the chakra system. So what I mean when I say that is that the state of the health of your root chakra is going to mirror what your crown chakra is capable of, and so on and so forth. It's vice versa, okay? So one affects the other. And if you think about it like a tree, when you look at a tree, you're only seeing what is above ground. But because of the law of correspondence, we know that whatever it is that you are seeing above ground, even if the tree is massive and huge, you can best believe that the roots underground are just as massive, okay? Because as above, so below. All right, so a lot of people like to focus on the higher three chakras, especially trying to open up that crown chakra. But if your root chakra is not taken care of, your crown chakra will easily become imbalanced, and you can begin to experience the negative side effects of when a crown chakra is not being well supported and balanced by having the root chakra being in just as good of health, or in as good of a state of health, okay? All right, so moving on, there are some physical manifestations that can begin to take place if you do not take care of your root chakra. Autoimmune issues, arthritis, kidney stones, osteoporosis, and other bone issues. Again, because the root chakra represents our foundation and it is associated with our skeletal system. And then blood-related issues, okay? So some indicators of an underactive versus an overactive chakra for the root chakra. So if your root chakra is underactive, you could be underweight, you could be experiencing depression, lack of boundaries, financial poverty or financial issues, and feeling just very ungrounded. Whereas if your root chakra is overactive, you could be overweight, overly aggressive, excessive boundaries, very greedy, greed from a sense, not necessarily with food, could be, but greed in general. And then an obsession with stability and security, you know? And so that's what when we're talking about balancing your chakras, it's trying to find that happy middle, that happy medium between the two extremes. And as most of us will experience, there's never a time where you have it completely perfect. But the idea is to aim to be as equal as possible to experience equilibrium in your life, okay? All right. So there are many approaches that you can take to balancing and healing your chakras. And basically, you will have to determine which methods are going to be best for you. But I do have some recommendations and some examples for you that can get you started. So if you're into crystals and crystal healing, I do have a few crystals listed here that can help you to balance your root chakra. You have red jasper, mahogany obsidian, hematite, black tourmaline, Shiva lingam, and bumblebee jasper would work as well. So those are some crystals that you can use. You can meditate with them. You can place them along the body while you meditate. If you were to lay down, you can carry them with you. Either of those would work. There are also some yoga poses that are traditionally associated with the root chakra. We have the warrior. We have child's pose, malasana, savasana, and the bridge pose. Now, I will admit I am not a guru or an expert in any way, not even in science or this topic, but definitely not in yoga. So I pray that I have pronounced everything correctly here. But those are the 5 that I saw most recommended for root chakra balancing. Color therapy. Of course, you can wear red. Today I have on my red lipstick. And then you could do brown or black as well. Those are earthy colors as well. Affirmations. There are tons of affirmations that you can use to help to balance your root chakra, but I just have 3 here. I am safe, I belong, and I am abundant, okay? And if you have watched my Who and What is God video, then you already know how I feel about I am, okay? So that is why I chose I am affirmation statements for the root chakra. If you are interested in sound healing, you can chant Lam, or you could go on YouTube, type that in, and listen to certain notes that resonate with the root chakra and its vibration. If you are into essential oils, I have a few recommendations for essential oils. We have cinnamon, sandalwood, frankincense, and patchouli. And then last, we of course also recommend Reiki, getting grounded in nature. You could do hypnotherapy or past life regression, which can also help you to balance out your root chakra. Hypnotherapy can definitely help you to go back and figure out why you're holding on to certain patterns that are infecting. affecting your life, okay? And it can help you to change those patterns through the subconscious mind without your conscious mind getting in the way while you're doing the work. And past life regression can help as well, because it can help you to understand why you may be having trouble with that chakra. I will say too, if you're into astrology, knowing your birth chart can definitely help with this as well, because your birth chart shows you your default. How your energy works at default and what is natural or by nature to you specifically. So that can also help you to kind of understand where you may be having a deficiency with that particular chakra. But when it comes to your chart, now do understand that it does not mean that it is an end all be all. It just shows you where, if you're not giving any specific attention or any focus on a particular area, what your default energy is, so you can kind of know what to expect that way. All right, guys, so that's pretty much everything that I have about the root chakra. I did pull out some cards from my chakra reading deck. This one is chakra reading cards, and I just pulled out the ones for the root chakra, and there are 4 for each. So this one is abundance. Try to get that glare off. Family. Balance. And holistic health, which is about healing. All right, so I hope that this helped introduce you to the root chakra and gives you an idea on what it is, how it works, and you can really associate what parts of your life really resonates with the root chakra, and to see where you may need to do some healing in your own life. So I hope that you definitely stay tuned. We'll be doing the sacral chakra next week. So yeah, I hope that you like and subscribe. Please like and share this video if you know anybody that could benefit from the content that was shared today. And please, please, please subscribe to my channel so that you know whenever I upload any videos. So I thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Be inspired, be the light, and namaste. Bye. See you next time.